Yo, welcome to Simply Bitcoin Live. We are your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. Today is August 30th, 2022. Today we have a very special show lined up for you guys. But first, I want to give a shout out to our awesome guest. How you doing, Seed Signer?
Hello, how are you?
Welcome to the show. And of course, my legendary co-host. How you doing, Opti?
What's up, Nico? Good morning. What's up, Seed Signer? I'm excited for this one. I'm a fan of the Seed Signer concept. And of course, Nico, today on The Culture, we're going to cover Stefan Livera's article he just dropped on Bitcoin Magazine of what you can do for Bitcoin. And you know me, this is the messaging that I like, and I think more people need to hear this. You don't have to be a developer to help Bitcoin and push the signal. So this is what we're going to push today.
Absolutely. And I think he actually did that talk as well at BitBlock Boom.
Exactly.
Oof, that BitBlock Boom made such an impression on Opti. You can't stop talking about it. And of course, we're going to talk about the looming energy crisis in Europe, what it means for you. Trust me, it's a big deal. It looks like Europe is going into the dark ages. I'm not even kidding. And it definitely will affect you. There's a saying, right? Is what happens in Europe is usually, it's the foreshadowing usually comes 2 to 3 months later to the United States. So we're going to talk about it. And of course, we have Seed Signer on the show, so we're going to talk about some awesome hardware wallet stuff, things. Anyways, let's start the show. Number time. Brought to you by NODL. They make some of the best Bitcoin nodes. Run your own version of Bitcoin Core, the Lightning Network, Whirlpool, and Dojo, all from the comfort of your own home. Remember, guys, if you don't run your own Bitcoin node, you're trusting someone else's. And if you're a digital nomad, you have no excuse because now you could run a NODL through a virtual private server. Visit nodl.eu today. At the time of this recording, the Bitcoin price is at 19,862 sats per dollar, 5,035. Block height, 751,874. Blocks to the halvening, 88,126. Halving estimate April 21st, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity, 4,615 BTC. Capacity value, 91 million USD. Hash rate estimate, 207 exahashes. Realized monetary inflation, taking the US dollar and most fiat currencies to school, 1.78%. And the total market capitalization of Bitcoin, $380 billion. It's a baby. It's still a baby. Anyways, today I'm going to use the numbers to take advantage of Seed Signer being here. And I want to talk about the Seed Signer, but first, I want to give a little bit of a preface, right? As we know, this is the separation of money and state. This is what we're living through right now. And like the sovereign individual predicted, the state is going to attempt to try to maintain their monopoly on the creation of money and therefore their ability to control people by having that monopoly and controlling people through monetary policy, right? So, of course, countries inevitably, in my belief, are going to ban Bitcoin. That's just, it's inevitable, right? And this is the example that we gave yesterday of the Taliban banning Bitcoin and shitcoins in Afghanistan, which is actually absolutely devastating because we covered this according to articles by Mackenzie Sigalos. She released an article on CNBC. Afghanis were using Bitcoin to transact with the global financial system because the U.S. cut them off due to U.S. sanctions against the Taliban. So Bitcoin was the only thing standing. And of course, the new Afghani government, the Taliban, couldn't have that. But it also wasn't the Taliban. It was other countries as well. This article by Fortune says Egypt, Iraq, Qatar, Oman, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Bangladesh, and China have all banned cryptocurrency. You can add Afghanistan to that list. Now, this is where the Seed Signer comes in. Because if you're living in a country that has explicitly banned Bitcoin, right? Meaning the government in that country is hostile towards Bitcoin. What do you think is going to happen when you order a hardware wallet to your home? Something not very good, perhaps, right? Do you really want to take that risk, right? Do you really, if you're living in mainland China, do you really want the Chinese government to know that you're ordering a cold card to your house or a Bitbox? Do you really want to know that? I'd rather not take that risk, right? So what could you do? But you still want to air gap your seeds, right? You still don't want your seeds on a hot wallet. You still don't want it on a computer, right? What do you do? What's a good alternative? The Seed Signer is an excellent alternative to that. It's an open source project which you can build with basic Raspberry Pi parts from Amazon, right? I don't think you even need those specific parts. And correct me if I'm wrong or right, Seed Signer.
The specific parts you don't. Part of your question, I think, is that you can use any Raspberry Pi virtually, Raspberry Pi 2, 3, 4, the full-size versions, or any of the zeros. We specifically recommend a very specific version of the Raspberry Pi Zero. It's version 1.3 because it doesn't have wireless like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth hardware on it. But for people who just need a solution, they're comfortable with what we call software air gapping, because our software doesn't have the drivers of the code that are needed to be able to actually operate the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Like any Raspberry Pi you can get your hands on will work. You have to get, at this point, a very specific Waveshare hat, and then just any stock Raspberry Pi camera. But with not a lot of money and not a lot of technological aptitude, and a few hours, you can have really like a kick-ass signing device that people all over the world use to manage their long-term savings. So
Absolutely. And I think one of the advantages of this is that it's going to be very, very difficult for a government to discern. Let's say you order some of these parts to your home. It's like, how do they know what you're going to do with it, right? And I think that's like one of the biggest selling points for me, is that if you live in a totalitarian country that's hostile towards Bitcoin, but you still want, what you said, a signing device that isn't connected to the internet, in my opinion, this is what I would recommend, because this is a great solution. Do you really want to be ordering a cold card to, a Chinese address, right? It's kind of, it's kind of scary, right? So I think the Seed Signer is a great solution for that.
And the other alternative, if you're not ordering a hardware wallet through official channels in a lot of places like Iran and other places in the Middle East, you can acquire a hardware wallet, but it's on the black market from what we would call not an authorized reseller. And who wants to buy a security critical piece of Bitcoin hardware from an unofficial channel in the black market, where you're not sure if the device may have been tampered with or if there's any sort of issues with it? So it's I think Seed Signer is exceptionally good in those kind of environments. I've actually, over the life of the project, received private messages from people in parts of the world that are hostile to Bitcoin, who have told me that it's worked as a great solution for them, because, as you allude, they can order the parts privately. Nothing that you're ordering screams, I'm creating a Bitcoin signing device or interacting with the Bitcoin network. You could be building, a little video game emulator or any sort of tech project. So it enables people to save with Bitcoin in a very secure way, without signaling to the world around them that they're interested in or using Bitcoin. And that I maintain is a very powerful tool to have.
Absolutely. And there also the way that, it's designed as well, like the way that it doesn't have a secure element, meaning it doesn't actually store it doesn't store the seed in memory, right? So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Right. It doesn't store the seed in persistent memory. The way kind of one of the key ingredients of Seed Signer is a computer science concept called statelessness. And statelessness is just, a fancy word for saying it doesn't remember any or certain pieces of information. In the case of Seed Signer, in the engineering of the code, we're very careful with how we deal with private keys. So when you use the device to create a private key, or you import a private key into the device, that private key is stored on the Raspberry Pi as a Python variable in memory. We take extra measures to make sure that it's not cached to the micro SD card or anywhere else, stored persistently on the device. And the reason being is that when you shut the device down and pull the power from it, the nature of volatile memory is that when power is removed, the information that's stored in it just dissipates. It's an electrical engineering fact that certain types of memory just don't hold state when you remove power. So for Seed Signer, we leverage this characteristic such that you don't have to worry about your seeds being safe on the device, after you power it off or after you're storing it, because when you use it, the seeds aren't stored on the device at all. So if someone gets a hold of your Seed Signer after you set up a wallet or anything like that, as long as they haven't gotten a hold of your private keys, the device is useless to them.
And and again, that protects the individual tremendously, right? And this goes back to a concept that we've been talking a lot about on this show, where Bitcoin changes the power dynamics between the state and the government, right? If you have all these tools, and Seed Signer is, in my opinion, it's a great tool. Shishi was the one that originally, shout out to him, was originally the one that recommended it to me, and we would go back and forth. I was like, dude, but whatever hardware walls, like, this has a secure element. He's like, Nico, you don't understand. And the concept with the camera and how you scan a QR code, could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, shout out to Shishi for sure, because he is relentless in terms of advocating for people to learn about Seed Signer and start thinking about it as a part of their Bitcoin storage setup. But in terms of the air gapping, so the second kind of secret sauce in Seed Signer, first is that statelessness that I talked about. And second is operation and isolation, or sometimes it's referred to as an air gap. But the reason why we recommend this very specific version of the Raspberry Pi Zero is that it doesn't have Bluetooth and it doesn't have Wi-Fi. So once your seed is live on that device, you're working with it in a very controlled environment where there are pretty significant restrictions in place on that device's ability to communicate with the outside world. No NFC, no Bluetooth, no Wi-Fi. So the only way it can communicate with the outside world is through the screen and then the camera. There's a simple Raspberry Pi compatible camera that's placed on the backside of the device. And so to get information into the Seed Signer, a convenient way to do that we discovered early on, shout out to one of our developers, Keith, who came up with the idea of storing a private key as a QR code. But to get your private key active on the device, instead of going through the few minutes it would take to type in your seed words, you can just scan a secret QR code. And we try to be very careful how we communicate to our users about that particular QR code and how it needs to be kept private and secret, because that is the secret that is safeguarding your funds. But these QR codes we use as a way of maintaining the isolation of that device from other computing devices around it. And what you do is you can use the QR codes to import your seed. And then, of course, when you have a wallet set up, that's the way that you move the partially signed transaction from, say, your computer or your phone into Seed Signer, so you can review the transaction details. And then if you approve it, you're not actually inserting your private key into the transaction. You're just providing cryptographic proof that you have the private keys to spend the money. And then a new set of QR codes are displayed on the screen. You show those to your phone or your laptop, and that's how we kind of securely maintain this air gap, where we're able to move in a very limited fashion information in between the device that you're using to communicate with the larger Bitcoin network, and then the separate device, in this case, which is the Seed Signer that you're using to interact with your private keys. It's very important that those two devices be kept separate. But what I'd also point out is the neat thing about the QR exchange process is that it makes Seed Signer compatible with virtually any phone or laptop in the world. There are some laptops with, really poor webcams, and there are some old phones out there that we may not work with, but almost any Android or Apple phone, by virtue of using just a camera and a screen to interact with the device. So people who are mobile first citizens of the internet, say in places like Africa or El Salvador, who don't have a desktop computer, don't have a laptop, the phone is their primary way of interacting with the world. They can use their phone to have either like a single SIG, watch only, very secure air gap wallet, or what I'm particularly excited about is those same people who just have a mobile phone with a Seed Signer, just one Seed Signer, they have access to multi-sig as well. So it kind of brings so many people in the world who may not have the funds to be able to afford one or more hardware wallets. It brings them into Bitcoin as first-class citizens with access to, very secure cold storage. And that's something I'm particularly excited about. We're in the beginning phases of working with Galoy, who makes the Bitcoin Beach wallet, to add a cold storage watch-only module to the Galoy mobile app. And I'm particularly excited about that because Galoy is doing such great work to onboard people into the Bitcoin ecosystem and to get Bitcoin into people's lives as a medium of exchange. But there's a Galoy server. The funds in the Bitcoin Beach wallet, while it's being run by very well-intentioned people, it is a trusted third party. So getting a cold storage module into the app would allow users to keep a portion of their funds that they're intending to set aside for, maybe their children or something they're saving up for, just savings for the future, to be able to keep a separate kind of stack of money that is not custodial, and that even if Bitcoin Beach wallet were to go away, or there would be some sort of catastrophic compromise, they would be able to recover that portion of their funds with Sparrow or with Blue Wallet or with any other sort of tool that operates by the same standard.
Absolutely, and that's really the part that I love, right? Is the fact that anyone could build this. You're not relying on a specific manufacturer. It has tremendous amount of compatibility. I know you guys made it so that it could connect with the Blue Wallet. I know there's a Sparrow as well, right? And I think this is really the beauty of open source. And I really believe this, that, as we enter this tumultuous period of the then they fight you stage, and nation states continue to get more and more desperate, right? I really believe they're going to be more and more hostile towards Bitcoin, right? And the freedom that it enables individuals. And in the process of that hostility, right, worst case scenario, they might just ban manufactured hardware wallets outright. And that's really where your project shines, because these parts are just parts. They're not specific. It's like, getting a bunch of Lego pieces, but you haven't built anything with it. Like, that's really what it is. And that's really what I'm most bullish for. But anyways, Opti, this went a little bit long. Let's go to the news. Daily news. Brought to you by CryptoCloaks.com. They make some of the best 3D printed Bitcoin merch, from node cases to key rings to the vents on the back of your ASIC for air management. And of course, the famous 3D printed Bitcoin grenade toy, which comes in any custom color your heart desires. You want it in gold? They make it in gold. And you can take advantage of the promo code down below to get 5% off CryptoCloaks.com. All right, looks like Europe is going back to the dark ages. Totally their own doing. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about, most importantly, because you've probably heard this, especially if you're on Twitter or you're watching on YouTube, you've heard all the talking points again. But what you probably haven't heard is that Bitcoin fixes this problem. Anyways, I'll get to that in a second. First of all, check out this headline by Reuters. Germany aims to get 100% of energy from renewable sources by 2035. This came out February 28, 2022. This is an article by Bloomberg. Europe is losing nuclear power just when it really needs it. Countries are plunging deeper into an energy crisis, but some governments are still shutting down reactors. And what are the consequences of drinking the Greta Thunberg Kool-Aid? Let's check it out. As I tweeted this out when I started noticing this, I said, bad energy policy literally kills people. For our audio listeners, here's a graph. It says France energy prices. They look like Bitcoin, but it's not Bitcoin. It's literally the what you're paying for electricity. For audio listeners, it's the average price in euros per megawatt hour. In May 2020, the price was 13.41 euros. Today, it's at 400.95. That's right. You heard that correctly. It went from 13 euros and 41 cent euro, I guess, to 400 euros. And here is the Financial Times article, and I really think this is a big reveal, because you have to understand the pressure that a lot of these European politicians that pushed for renewable energies, rather than focusing on getting off the dependence of Russian natural gas, and rather than looking for alternatives, perhaps doubling down on nuclear energy. No, they doubled down and they sold the public on renewable energies are a viable replacement for fossil fuels, which may be true, but it definitely isn't true today. And that's the problem. Take a look at how this article reads. It literally sounds dystopian. It makes no sense. And it really, really highlights the incoming tsunami of shit that Europe, Freudian slip. I called Europe Ethereum. That's funny. That Europe is about to endure, right? And this is an article from the Financial Times. Let's check it out. EU to unveil emergency measures to curb soaring energy prices. Pressure grows for bloc to reform market by cutting link between electricity and the cost of gas. I think that's just a very fancy way of saying price controls. Anyways, the EU is preparing emergency measures to curb the price of electricity by separating it from the soaring cost of gas. As Shell warns, the energy crisis could last for years and utilities turn to the state for support. Interesting. The European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said Brussels was working on an emergency intervention, which could allow cheaper renewable energy to help set electricity prices. Now, that is the most gaslighting sentence I've ever read, which could allow for cheaper renewable energy to help electricity prices. Europe is in the situation it is today because that's what the public was sold for over a decade, that renewables would provide cheaper electricity prices for all. And now, in the midst of a crisis where the average price of electricity in Germany went from 13 euros per kilowatt hour to 400, this is the gaslight. They're doubling down on this stuff. Anyways, currently gas dominates the price of the electricity market. With these exorbitant prices, we'll have to decouple, ration access to energy for several years. It may well be that we have a number of winters where we have to somehow find solutions through efficiency savings, through rationings, and a very, very quick build out of alternatives. That this is going to be somehow easy and over, I think, is a fantasy that we should put aside. The price surge has taken its toll on utilities, even as oil and gas companies enjoy record profits. Now, when I started hearing this, I got so mad, and I tweeted this out last night, and I think it summarizes it really well. Europe's energy disaster was 100% avoidable. People will literally freeze to death this winter because governments sold the public on the false promise of renewables, which cannot replace fossil fuels anytime soon. To make matters worse, they stopped buying natural gas from Russia because of the war. They knew it would make things worse. Will any of these politicians suffer because of these decisions? No, they will still be able to heat their homes. Under a Bitcoin standard, this type of behavior by governments would not be viable. Sending billions to Ukraine and spending billions on renewable is only possible with the money printer, with the end result of a starving and freezing populace. We must separate money from state. If that is not a bigger advertisement for Bitcoin, I don't know what is. They had the money printer, and instead of allocating that capital to more reliable forms of energy, developing nuclear energy, they dumped it in unreliable renewable energies, and they sent billions of dollars to Ukraine. And not to mention, they sanctioned Ukraine, literally shooting themselves in the foot. And they actually knew this a couple months ago. Let me play you a clip.
Let's be clear, it will not be easy because some member states are strongly dependent on Russian oil, but we simply have to do it. So today we will propose to ban all Russian oil from Europe.
Literally shooting themselves in the foot. And what are the consequences of this? Here is some tweets, and there's going to be more. Europe is literally going into the dark ages. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. This is a tweet from Callum. It says, Mom owns a small cafe in Leicester. Her electricity bill has just jumped from 10K pounds a year to 55K pounds a year. She is working out her options, but more than likely she will be forced to close. I got this electricity bill today. How in the name of God is this possible? We're a small coffee shop, and the bill for audio listeners is 9,836 euros. Renewal statement from 15 pounds per kilowatt hour to 81 pounds per kilowatt hour. Now, this is a death sentence for small businesses, not to mention the manufacturing, right? You can't manufacture with these types of energy prices. And this was 100% caused by politicians. And I'm gonna even add on top of this. This was 100% caused by the misallocation of capital that comes from the money printer. If you give politicians this unending ability to print money. It gives them it gives them the thought that their ideas are worthwhile. There's no reality check on them. And they've literally put Europe into the dark ages because they use the money printer to fund unreliable forms of energy, which are not viable under a Bitcoin standard. They wouldn't be economically viable. And not to mention, they sent tens of billions of dollars to fund a war in Ukraine. And what happens to the lower class and the middle class in those countries? You'll own nothing and be happy, I guess. This is disgusting. This is literally why we must separate money from state. Under a Bitcoin standard, man, those people would be run out of town. So anyways, Seed Signer, what are your thoughts? And we'll move on to Opti.
It's what you're alluding to, I think, is like a Bitcoin standard is where the rubber hits the road. Like it provides checks on, bad ideas and bad policy. It's a video that I saw on Twitter or something like that. It was from 3 or 4 years ago with Donald Trump at some sort of political event where there were a bunch of European leaders and I guess other world leaders gathered in the same place. And Trump made some statement about how Germany is utterly reliant on Russia for their energy prices, and that it could cause problems for them. And in whatever video this was I saw online, it's the German prime minister or the German representative or whoever it was, just like shaking his head, like rolling his eyes, like, oh, if I'm not the biggest Donald Trump fan of the world, but if he can figure out that like Germany was in a bad way with their energy mix, like it seems like this is something that should have been on their radar and should have been something that they were planning to mitigate. But again, like you mentioned, you have Greta Thunberg and all of the the green advocates shouting, and the challenge with all of this is that nothing is either black or white. We don't need to think in false dichotomies. Like, I think renewable energy isn't bad. It's great for the future, but we're going to have to scale into it reasonably. And Germany's shutting down nuclear power plants aggressively and continuing to do so, and faced with these energy crises is just, I don't know if it's hubris or if maybe there's something more sinister involved. I don't know. I think
I know exactly what it is. It's the money printer. I think the money printer fundamentally disconnects people from reality, right? It gives people this false illusion. And and I think Saifedean really nails this in the Bitcoin standard, man. Like, if you have politicians that they don't need to go to the public and say, hey, let me raise some money for you guys so we could fund our projects. No, they take the back door. They print the money and they kind of steal from you in this indirect way. There's no pushback there, right? And I think that, and as long as, if there's this monopoly, right, it doesn't lead to innovation. It doesn't lead to good decisions. It leads to inefficiency. It leads to complacency, right? And I think that's where we are today. I don't think it's a coincidence that 50 years after fiat launched, we are where we are right now, right? Whether that's the moral decay of society, whether it's European politicians choosing to shut down nuclear power plants on the verge of an energy crisis, choosing to not only sanction Russia and cut themselves off from Russian natural gas, but actually send billions of dollars not to help their countries, but to fund a war. This is only viable under under a fiat standard. This is not viable under a Bitcoin standard. How you're going to go to the public and say, hey guys, we want to develop renewable energies, which, by the way, I agree with you 100%, Seed Signer. I don't think renewable energies are bad. I think they're good. But I think the problem is that they sold the public that renewable energies today they could completely replace fossil fuels. And look at the position that they find themselves in, right? And under a Bitcoin standard, right, it's like we always say, Bitcoin ends war. Why does it end war? It's like with the medieval kings. When did the wars end back then? When the kings ran out of gold, right? So it's the same concept. How do you fund a war if you have to go to the public and say, hey, guys, I need you to give me some of your Bitcoin so I could fund this war overseas. What do you think the public's going to say? Yeah, that's not a good idea. But if you have a money printer, you're not directly going to the public and say, hey, give me money to, fund this war, fund this crazy renewable energy pipe dream that we have, right? You're indirectly stealing from them so you could fund it. And people don't really notice unless they're orange pilled, right? So it's like, dude, I see a lot of people complaining about this and how this is crazy and how there's a political solution and if only we get another political party in here. No, I don't think the solution to the crazy interventionist wars or this crazy energy policy that's also happening in the United States, right? Look at New York State banning Bitcoin mining, right? That actually incentivizes green energy. The way that you fix this is by separating the money from these crazy politicians. That's it. And if they want money to, fund whatever program they want, they have to go to the public and try to convince the public to give them said money. But the way that the system is built today is there's a backdoor, right? It's like, we're not going to raise taxes because we would get voted out of office, but we do raise taxes in an indirect way every time we hit the money printer, right? So yeah, man, it's a little bit of a different angle. I know this has been covered a lot on Twitter. I know it's been covered a lot on YouTube perhaps, but on Simply Bitcoin, we actually provide you solutions. And the solution to this is separate money from state. If we don't do that, nothing will change. Opti, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad you covered this, Nico. I told you before that I've been waiting for this to be on the show because I say it all the time and I look like the crazy one. These people, these authoritarians, these high-level parasites want you back in the Stone Ages. Like, this is absolutely horrible. And here is the receipts. Like, they do not want to see society prosper because we know that energy use is directly correlated with a prosperous society. And they are trying to minimize your energy use. And it just comes down to Jevons paradox. Like, the more efficient we are with the energy, the more we will use it. I know that in the media, it's hard to cover nuance. They just need clickbait headlines. But Nico and Seedsider just destroyed this narrative. But I really love how Financial Times doubles down on the stupidity. Government got us in this position, so we need more government to fix the problem. Like, for fuck's sake, guys, this is absolutely insane. Nuclear power fixes this, but of course it's so taboo that you can't put this out there. And it's like, then the meme and the narrative here is like, you'll use no energy and you'll be dead, but you'll be happy. Like, it's insane. This is absolutely insane. And remember what Nico said in the beginning of this show is Europe precedes what will happen in America. This is absolutely terrifying. If we are going to see us go down this road, like, it's absolutely nuts. I do not wish to see this in America, but someone said it in the chat, like, they want to crash everything, and it just seems like this is all planned. Like, it seems like this is part of their plan to destroy their nation first with energy, and so that they can, come in with the solution. It's absolutely insane. And go, Nico.
The solution there is like what that Financial Times article is dressing up. It's a pig, and they're trying to put makeup on it. Is a state-controlled energy market. That's what it says, right? It says we have to disconnect, the price of natural gas with the price of electricity you pay for. How does that work, right? So it's and this goes to question is like, was this their plan the whole entire time? Fuck it up so bad to come up with an excuse for more government control. It's definitely something that it's definitely plausible. Maybe we don't have all the facts, but it does look kind of strange. Anyways,
it feels like a manufactured crisis that's been manufactured to reinforce that people rely on government for the kinds of solutions to the problems that the government creates.
100%. Remember the meme, the Great Reset. It's been planned, guys.
Yeah, dude, I hate going down that road, but it's like they do tell you they want you to own nothing and be happy. This is definitely an effective way for you to own nothing and be happy. So I don't know about being happy, but anyways, guys, it's really important. I know this is sometimes we get into the geopolitics stuff, but it's very important to cover because at least when people usually cover these types of topics, all they give is vote for the other political party. We actually have a solution. It's not about voting for the other political party. Sure, vote. It's about opting out of their system completely. so that they can't do this to you. That's really what this is about, right? And remember what Bitcoin gives you. Bitcoin gives you the power not only to vote with your feet, but also your wallet, right? You could take your wealth with you. You can go to a country that won't have these crazy energy policies. Before Bitcoin, that was not feasible. You couldn't do it. It'd be very difficult to take your wealth with you. What are you going to do? Hide a bar of gold and you know where? Like, what are you going to do? It's going to be very difficult. You sending money. If that country falls into totalitarianism, the first thing they do is install capital controls, right? So we cover this to inform you and give you the tools to use Bitcoin to live a better life, to live a more free life, right? Or at least that's what we hope. Anyways, Opti, it's time for the culture. Let's check it out. Daily Culture. Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. Swan incentivizes self-custody, and they also incentivize dollar cost averaging. Spread out that risk. Visit SwanBitcoin.com today. Oh.
Okay.
Hold on, Opti.
Nico.
I forgot. I have to tell everybody about the dopest Bitcoin conference on the West Coast. Everybody go check out Pacific Bitcoin. It's November 10th through 11th in Los Angeles, California. Speaker list includes Corey Clipston, Alex Epstein. He has this awesome work. Definitely go check it out. The Fossil Future, and he makes the case for fossil fuels. Jeff Booth, Dylan LeClaire, Eric Kassan, Mark Moss, Dr. Jeff Ross, and that's right, Nico's there too. Troy Cross. It's going to be awesome. Opti's going. You definitely want to take advantage of the promo code SIMPLY to get a discount on your tickets for Pacific Bitcoin.
All right, guys. Well, you know my mission here on the Daily Culture is to spread the good word of Bitcoin, and furthermore, to show you guys how you can spread the good word of Bitcoin. And I got this piece from Stefan Levera, and I think he sums it up perfectly, and I want to continue to spread this. So here we go. This is on Bitcoin Magazine by, of course, Stefan Levera. Go check out his podcast. I literally wouldn't be here without his podcast and a few others. He is pure signal. So it's an opinion piece, and it's titled, "What Can You Do for Bitcoin?" And the subheadline is, "Bitcoin might seem inevitable, but you can still take an action hand in pushing it forward." And we say this all the time. Like, do not get complacent out there, guys. You know, we say it every single day. It's like, look around you. How many Bitcoiners do you talk to in your daily life? Bitcoin, you're still early. Like, it's still early, guys. Do not fall for the negative memes of like, oh, you're late to Bitcoin. Anyways, let's get into this article. As Stefan Levera starts, and of course, we mentioned this was a speech at BitBlock Boom, and he goes, "We're living through an era of immense change, and the money is broken. But on the bright side, we have this monetary technology, Bitcoin. And on the downside, a lot of people don't understand the point of Bitcoin because they're trapped in fiat mindsets." We say this basically every single day. But, of course, Stefan knows the power of memes, and look at this little meme he's got here. "Consider this short gif above. Are Bitcoiners like this man uselessly pushing the train? Is it all just happening regardless of what we do?" Ask yourself that question. I know that Bitcoin, in my opinion, it does feel inevitable, but that is only because of all you guys out there that are pushing for Bitcoin, that continue to meme, that continue to write articles, that continue to make videos and documentaries and all that good stuff so that people understand that Bitcoin is the solution. So is Bitcoin inevitable? Sometimes the way people talk about Bitcoin on Bitcoin Twitter is such that Bitcoin is inevitable, and it raises the questions, is it? In what sense? Can we just sit back and do nothing? TLDR, not exactly. Bitcoin still needs things to sustain itself as a system. Code review and maintenance, miners securing the system, users and hodlers giving it value. Perhaps in some aggregate sense, Bitcoin is not quite inevitable, but it is extremely likely to win based on certain qualities. Example, scarcity, neutrality, openness, etc. But whether Bitcoin is inevitable or not, it is very much reliant on real people who do the things that sustain the system. That is you guys running the nodes, stacking sats, continuing to spread the signal. Anyway, so what can you do? You can drive forward adoption or technological advancement in and around Bitcoin, but you do not have to be a developer to contribute either way. So you can test, review, and provide feedback on Bitcoin apps. Many have a community of developers and users in Telegram chats or Mattermost servers like Seed Signer, guys. You can join his. It's a great group project. Organize or contribute to your local Bitcoin meetups. Invest in Bitcoin companies or work in them. Do foreign language translations of influential Bitcoin content. Fund Bitcoin development and review. Or get published in non-Bitcoin media to spread the word outside of the Bitcoin circle. I say it all the time, guys. What's the point of spreading Bitcoin signal to your echo chamber? You need to spread the signal outside of your Bitcoin echo chamber on Twitter, in real life, to whoever will listen. Speak to the Bitcoin remnant, whatever meme you need to hear for it to hit to you guys. You need to normalize Bitcoin. Don't underestimate the power of normalizing Bitcoin use amongst your friends. Pay them in Bitcoin. Force it on them. They're your friends. They know you're stubborn. They know your quirks. Like, just pay them in Bitcoin. Or you have friends and family overseas who you send money to. Don't be afraid to use Bitcoin. We say it all the time, guys. Bitcoin is borderless. There's no middleman to stop you sending your Bitcoin. This is a feature, not a bug. So send Bitcoin to your friends and family. But another idea is to find a local cafe or bar where you regularly host your Bitcoin meetup and offer for it to take Bitcoin payment. Guys, if they're owning a small business like we're showing in the news portion, if you bring them business, they will listen to what you are doing. So if you're bringing in revenue in terms of paying customers, they may be more inclined to give you the time of day to take Bitcoin. You don't have to force it on people, but hey, if you're bringing a big group of people into their business and you're all talking about Bitcoin, you will pique their interest. This is just, it's simple incentives, and we know Bitcoin incentives stay winning. So be upfront about where we are. We are just so early in terms of Bitcoin use. I understand that I and Stefan Livera and Nico, and we all sound like a broken record in saying that we are still early, but it really is true in terms of how many users there are globally. Just ask yourself one simple question. When you go out in public and you look around at everyone around you, how many people are Bitcoiners? I know personally it's not that many, and I try to orange pill everyone, but everyone just thinks that I am the crazy Bitcoiner. And, you just look around you. Not everyone's a Bitcoiner. And this is, there's a feature, not a bug. This means you're still early, guys. Say what you will about the price rise. Say what you will about, the exponential growth of the network. But just a simple question. If you ask yourself, when you walk around in public, how many people do you think you come across that are Bitcoiners? And I personally know it's not that very many. So this is why we do what we do. This is why we show up every day to YouTube, is to spread the signal. So for this reason, it can be difficult to get traction in Bitcoin payments, as very few people globally even have Bitcoin. But this is an opportunity to grow the scene and build the peer-to-peer economy of Bitcoin users. And I really love this article or paragraph, so I highlighted most of it. But coming back to the idea of Bitcoin's inevitability, public attitudes to Bitcoin do matter for Bitcoiners. While Bitcoin, the project, may live on, individual people may suffer if you are singled out by the government. Additionally, the many people who are suffering high inflation or financial censorship today would continue to suffer if Bitcoin is not reasonably available. Honestly, a perfect example is the Seed Signer project that we're talking about today. And furthermore, the energy frickin' fail of Europe. One interesting historical parallel might be in the way that ideas change history, enabling the Industrial Revolution. Cultural attitudes towards merchants and commerce shifted, and this in turn enabled a massive rise in human prosperity and living standards over the past few hundred years. Big ideas can really move the needle, and the Bitcoin community's idea of digital sound money is one of the biggest, guys. This is the power. Nico says this all the time. Continue to out-meme them and continue to out-truth them. Bitcoin idea of digital sound money, a hard cap money at 21 million, is the solution to the problems we have out there. This idea is so huge that we say it every day. Bitcoin incentives stay winning. The idea of Bitcoin is going to take over the world, and it's taking over the world as we speak. Or consider another analogy. If nuclear power technology is criminalized, then humanity is less able to gain the benefit of nuclear power. And remember that nuclear power requires an ecosystem of engineering talent to sustain it also. Likewise, Bitcoin requires humans to sustain it and advance it. So ideas and culture really do change the world, and you can contribute to Bitcoin without necessarily being a developer. So let us all go forth and push the train. Guys, this is literally why I created the Daily Culture segment. because I understand the power of positivity. I understand the power of spreading the good word of Bitcoin. It is way more effective to spread the things that you like. Loud appreciation is way more effective than sharp criticism. This is why you need to continue to stay positive in the face of all this clown world. You are living in a world full of shit, and you need to give people hope out there. We know what the problems are, but most people don't know what the solution is. And Bitcoin fixes this. Fix the money, fix the world, and everything will ripple out from there. So guys, do not become a jaded Bitcoiner. Do not become a pessimist, a narcissist, and a nihilist in the face of all this adversity. This is what it means to be a strong man in a weak world. You need to face the adversity and show up every day no matter what. Continue to meme, continue to stay positive, and continue to spread the good word of Bitcoin. This is what you need to do, and this is why I do the Daily Culture now, because I understand that people need to know the solution is here, and we will fix this problem. It's not going to be inevitable. You need to put in the work. Proof of work, as I say all the time, is much more than just about mining. It is a way of life, guys. Do not avoid the hard work. Go out there, spread Bitcoin signal any way possible to anyone that will listen. Build the products that you want to see, and we will get this stuff done together. But it takes the individual for this to happen. So do not get complacent. Complacency kills. Put in the work. And we will do this collectively, but don't call me a commie, guys. It takes an individual effort. You need to do this for yourself and for your family and for your friends. But all you Bitcoiners out there are changing the world. Never forget this. Spread the good word of Bitcoin, and in time, we will free humanity from fiat enslavement.
Boom.
Let's go, Nico.
Free humanity from mental slavery. Yeah, dude, absolutely. Yeah, this revolution requires personal responsibility. This is the fourth turning. Weak men have created hard times. Hard times are now creating strong men, right? But you have to embrace the personal responsibility. You have to look at the world around you, and you have to ask yourself, is this the future that I want for myself? Is this the future that I want for my kids, right? That's really what you have to ask yourself. And now we have a chance to break this cycle, right? It's not about electing a certain political party. It's about taking the money away from government. And that will fix, in my opinion, that will fix a majority of the problems. That will get rid of the violence. That will get rid of the social programs. That will get rid of a lot of the crazy taxes that have been imposed on us, right? Because think about it, it creates competition between nation states, and we're already kind of seeing this on a microscopic level on with Texas and Florida and New York and California. People are leaving, right? Economic refugees. You know, you see this with the incentives that Nayib Bukele is trying to, implement in El Salvador with 0% taxes. I suspect that's going to continue to pop up, and countries and states are now going to compete for your business. And when people compete for your business, you win, right? So I'm very bullish on that. But if we want that world, we have to fight for it. This is a grassroots movement. If enough people buy Bitcoin, take self-custody, run their own node, we win this, and there's absolutely nothing they could do. But in order to do that, you have to orange pill as many people as possible. You have to push people to take self-custody. There's so many tools to do that. Seed Signer is a great one. So yeah, man, I've never been so optimistic through the then they fight you stage. And here at Simply Bitcoin, we'll be with you along your side the entire time, even when the going gets rough. Anyway, Seed Signer, what are your thoughts, brother?
I was thinking as you were talking about, contributing to the greater Bitcoin ecosystem and using your particular skill set. One kind of thought is like with my personal background, I'm a retired cop who was a digital forensic specialist. And on the outside, prior to Seed Signer, it's not difficult for me to think like, what on earth could I have to offer to Bitcoin? But you kind of leverage the skills you have, and you put some passion into it, and you fill in those skill gaps where you have them. Like I learned the fundamentals of coding to make the earliest proof of concept versions of Seed Signer, and then people who are much smarter and much more talented programmers than me came in and kind of picked up the torch. But the other thing I was thinking about as you were talking was finding a way to contribute definitely advances Bitcoin around the world. It definitely can improve people's lives around you by introducing, low time preference thinking and sound money into their kind of like into their lives and their mental model. But I would also add, it's extremely fulfilling personally to be contributing what you can. It will make you a happier, steadier, more peaceful person. And my oldest son asked me the other day if I was happy. It was I forget what we were talking about, but he asked me, it's just kind of a weird question to come out of a 13-year-old's mouth, but he said, "Are you satisfied with your life?" And I thought about it for a second, and to tell a little bit of a personal story, I had a cancer scare over the last few months, where what was described to me as a very aggressive skin cancer was removed from my nose. People can probably see I'm missing a chunk out of my schnoz, and that gave me occasion during the few weeks of almost like private panic of like, is this, has this metastasized? Is this a much bigger problem? And this is just the first inning, that kind of thing. It forced me to think a little bit about my life and, where I'm at and what I'm doing. And I was very surprised, but at peace after reflecting on it, to realize like I'm doing exactly what I want to do. I'm trying to create a better world, the world that, I want to leave to my children and my children's children. I'm working on things that I think are important to me, instead of just kind of engaging in the orgy of materialism that a lot of people around me are.
Mm-hmm.
And, I feel like I'm working on things that I believe in, and I'm doing things that are consistent with my internal moral compass. So I would just add that to what you were saying. Like you will really feel good about yourself if you pitch in and contribute what you can.
Man, first of all, that was absolutely beautiful. I 100% agree. But Bitcoin gives you that ability, right? That ability to pursue your dreams, because now the currency and the wealth that you're working for is deflationary in nature, right? And the fiat, if you're saving in fiat, if you're earning in fiat, I don't think you could have been able to pursue your dreams the way that you've been pursuing them, Seed Signer. And I'm also saying this from the position of, dude, I significantly stopped my whole mining thing because of simply Bitcoin. And then I had to come to like kind of this fork in the road when I was like, okay, am I going to continue? Like, fine, I'll make a little bit more money mining for sure, right? Or am I going to do what I love, right? I'm like, okay, let's do simply Bitcoin. And now that you're telling me the same story, it's a pattern that I pick up in Bitcoin all the time. It's the reason that Michael Saylor has the domain Hope, right? It's the reason that NVK has his handle as deterministic optimism, right? That's what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is hope. It's a deflationary currency. Your savings will increase in purchasing power over time. And if you compare, and not only that, it's not only that, right? It makes it very difficult for them to be debased. It makes it very difficult for them to be easily confiscated, right? That's the beauty of Bitcoin. That's the revolution. And we just need to tie this up with Opti, we just need to get as many people, and we need to awaken them to the reality that, hey man, there's an alternative system and it has nothing to do with voting. You can keep your own personal political ideologies. You could be a progressive. You could be a super right-wing, 100-gun owning libertarian. And it doesn't matter. Bitcoin is going to help you guys equally. It's going to help you guys the same. That's what this revolution is all about. That's why we call it the peaceful revolution, but only if enough people take self-custody, and then I'm positive we'll win. But anyways, my favorite part of the show, let's check out some memes. Daily Meme Review. Brought to you by Citadel 21. It's the best Bitcoin cultural zine. It's stories, articles, comics by actual Bitcoiners. This is the artwork for volume 11. This is the artwork for volume 10. And this is the artwork for volume 2. Volume 2 is almost sold out because there's only 1,000 physical copies made per volume. So get your prints of Citadel 21 today before they run out.
All right, guys, we're here for the memes, of course. Drop your meme review in the chat so we can cover some of them. And like Nico says all the time, I'm gonna butcher it, but Twitter is the bullet in the meme warfare, and memes are the artillery. So continue to meme. But on that note, we got our first one by Athrothmus, and I knew Nico was going to cover this, the energy crisis in EU, so I wanted to put this one first, and it goes, trust the science. You got Leonardo DiCaprio and an NPC smiling, and I forget what her name is, but then trust the science on nuclear, and they all start freaking out. Happens every single time. The next one is by our friend Big Sean Harris, and he goes, do you want the dying money or do you want Bitcoin? And I know this isn't his meme in particular, but I think it's worth showing this all the time, that your dollar has been losing value since the creation of the Federal Reserve in 1913. Guys, you can't save in fiat money. You save in Bitcoin. Anyways, another meme by @BTC Gandalf, and he goes, it is inevitable. Printer is coming. I know you guys watched Game of Thrones. I never watched it, but I know the meme that winter is coming. But no, the printer is coming. They will turn it on at a certain point. And of course, staying on the optimistic tip, this is @Satoshi's Dragon. He goes, when you get a taste of freedom after being stuck in Canada for 2 years, and he @Nayib Bukele, and it's a bird, and he goes, get that thing out of my face, and it's a cracker with the El Salvador flag, and the bird chomps on the cracker, the El Salvador flag, and you can see he has no eyes, he's pissed off, and then he tastes freedom. And there's optimism and hope in his eyes. This is the way, guys. And then, of course, since we are doubling down, or since the powers that be are doubling down on stupidity, we got this meme. It's really like an opposite meme. So it's this Sean Baker. If you're a Bitcoiner, carnivore Bitcoin, you know who he is. And he says, and you'll be happy because we will medicate you to be so. And this is a World Economic pictograph right here. And it says, what will our diets look like in 2030? Synthetic nutrition, seed oils, intermittent fasting, which I'm kind of an intermittent faster, but look at this. Just because they're trying to co-opt our memes, we will eat. We will eat 40% less food in 2030 to meet net zero. This is good for our waistlines and good for the planet. You can eat nothing and be happy. Are you kidding me?
Wait. Hold on a second. Is this real?
Yes.
Oh my God, bro!
Look, alternative proteins, micro livestock, like. Guys, this is their memes and
micro livestock, also known as bugs.
Dude,
bugs.
It's absolutely insane. This stuff is absolutely insane. Clown World confirm. Eat more meat. Avoid seed oils. Double down on doing the opposite of what they're telling you to do.
Oh my God.
I'll send this to you in DM, Nico. It's amazing. And then, of course, this is a great one. I know Seed Signer's on the show, but I really like this meme, and it's a cold card wallet because it shows about the improvement of technology and how humans innovate. And look, then a freaking huge ass nuclear explosive, den so that you can save your wealth. And now all you need is a cold card or a Seed Signer with a 9-volt battery, and your wealth can be stored forever. Let's go. Human innovation is great. And then this last one, shouts out to Dick Whitman. I absolutely love what he's been doing on Twitter, so I have to keep plugging him. @DWhitman, BTC, and he goes, if liberty means anything at all, it means the right to tell people what they do not want to hear. It's a quote by George Orwell. And I think it's a great way to end today's meme review. And of course, my meme review score, I just got back from Austin.
Wait, before you go. Because there's a little bit of a delay. There's like a 5-10 second delay. Guys, rate the meme. This is Simply Bitcoin Live. Make Opti and I feel uncomfortable.
Make Nico feel uncomfortable.
Put the meme... Fine. Make Nico feel uncomfortable. Put the meme score in the chat, and we will read it. Anyways, Opti, go ahead.
All right. I put a BTC pins yesterday, and I'm going to double down and put another BTC pins. This one is Madex's Monetary Energy Network. I absolutely love this one. So still plugging BTC pins. I have a bunch of goodies from the conference, so I'll continue to show you guys all the little goodies and knickknacks that I got. But anyways, Nico, what's your score?
I'm going to give it, speaking of pins, this is a Crypto Cloaks grenade toy pin. I want to keep going with the pins. Anyways, the legendary Seed Signer, the future of hardware wallets once they're all banned. Seed Signer, when you give those
Even if they're
memes.
not all banned. I'm woefully I don't have any objects within reach, so all I can hold up is I rate those memes as an AirPods recharging case. I don't know. I don't even know what that means, but that's all I have.
Are they in there? Are actual AirPods in there?
No, they're in my ears. But yeah,
Oh, it's an empty AirPod case. All right, very
empty,
nice,
mate.
very
Ooh.
nice, very nice. Okay, let's see. Z-Logic, I give those memes one Twitter whistleblower. Extamos, I gave a Salvadorian saltine cracker. Very good score, man. Okay, I give those I give those memes Vitalik's giant dong. For anyone who's not in the know, there's been a picture of Vitalik. Oh man, Red Rope rating those memes a pair of Canadian Air Maxes. Okay. Next one by Top Roller. What's up, brother? I give those memes a half-used roll of dental floss. Lucky Redfish. If you do the advert after the memes, it will give people time to vote. Oh, I like that idea. Wow. I rate the memes a 3D printed Bitcoin backgammon. All right, next one. Tacos. I give the memes some arnicle. Diogenes the Great. Brother, hit me up on Telegram, Diogenes. I'm not going to put. Go on our Simply Bitcoin Telegram group. Message me there, bro. We really want your help with the thumbnails. We're taking you serious. Opti, did you hit him up on Discord?
I did. I hit him up already.
Okay.
I'll talk to you about it.
Okay. Max, I give a drawing pin and Extemos. Nico, give the memes that cute dog. This is yellow. I just dyed him white, but it's actually yellow, and that's yellow's on my lap once again. Anyways, just kidding. This is Napoleon the Pomeranian. Anyways, all right. Let's. We got a software release today. Let's check it out. Bitcoin software release brought to you by CipherSafe. Don't be that person that stores their Bitcoin seed on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage, dog attacks, everything. Your seed can be eaten by dogs or cats or animals if you store it on paper. You definitely want to store your seed on steel, and there's no better place to do it than the CipherSafe. Get yourself a Cipher wheel or a Cipher grid today. Visit ciphersafe.io.
All right, guys. Today's software release is Sparrow Wallet 1.6.1. As you can see, they add support for Auth47, LNURL, add Bit47 support for Bitcoin Core connections. This is a huge update. So, shouts out to Sparrow. And of course, guys, if you like what we are doing, go listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM. And if you really think that we are providing you value, we are on Fountain app and you can stream us some sats. We appreciate all the support, guys. We appreciate your time. And, come back tomorrow. We're going to continue to give you guys sauce. And just shouts out to you, Seed Signer. And one special shout out for Toxic Shishi out there for getting us all Seed Signers and making them build them for ourselves. All right, guys. Nico, let's roll this one out.
Yeah, before we go, I want to give a special shout out to our clothing sponsor. You guys all know Opti and I wear the dopest merch. It's called Represent, representltd.com. It's comfy, it's stylish. He makes Bitcoin merch. He's making Simply Bitcoin merch, and you can take advantage of the promo code down below to get 10% off. Representltd.com. Also, want to give a very special shout out to our awesome guests. Thanks for coming on, Seed Signer. You're a fucking legend, dude. You're one of my favorite projects, but it took Shishi to kind of open my eyes, be like, yo, Nico, you don't understand the statelessness thing. It's really dope. And I agree, man. I agree. So Seed Signer, where can people find you? Where can people find out more about what you're working on, etc.?
Shishi is like the ambassador we need, and hopefully the ambassador that we deserve. But to just follow more about me personally and the project, especially, it's just at Seed Signer on Twitter. If anybody wants to reach out, I'm same handle on Telegram, and our flagship website is seedsigner.com. If you just want to kind of look at some pretty pictures and learn more about the project, see some past podcasts and that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's all I got.
And you guys are an open source project, meaning you guys you guys work on donations. So why don't you tell a little bit about that? Where could people donate if they feel so inclined?
Right. We are exceptionally bad at making money. So the designs and the software and everything is open source. Our GitHub repo, if you Google or DuckDuckGo SeedSign or GitHub, you'll be able to find our GitHub repo really easy. But if you go to seedsigner.com/donate, or there's a link, I'm sure, on the main page of the flagship website, we run a BTC Pay server through Voltage. Shout out to Voltage for donating that infrastructure for us to be able to run that 24/7. But yeah, we take donations, and when we release a major version of our software, we try to proportionally split up those donations among people who have made significant contributions to the project. It's not a perfect system, but it's what we're doing right now. So that's how people can contribute with Bitcoin if they would like to.
Awesome. Yeah, like I said, it's one of my favorite projects. The fact that it's not coming all from one manufacturer, you could build this together. It's open source code. That's what makes me very optimistic. And like I've been saying during the show, as we enter the Then They Fight You stage, more and more countries are going to go down that totalitarian path. Projects like the Seed Signer, that's where they will shine. But anyways, bro, thank you so much for joining us on Simply today. Guys, that was our show. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Also, check out Simply Bitcoin's Telegram group. This is for you, Jacob. T.me/the Simply Bitcoin channel. Check out our blog. Zach and Rustin have been dropping freaking nukes from the atmosphere. You can go check out Simply Bitcoin Unfiltered. Go to www.simplybitcoin.news. Guys, it really helps us a lot if you share this content, if you feel like it provides you value. If you have family members that are asleep, just send them Simply Bitcoin. We cover the news, but we cover it from a Bitcoiner's perspective, right? We provide solutions, right? So, or a solution rather than voting for the other political party. If that worked, then we wouldn't be in a fourth turning today, would be. Anyways, guys, make sure to smash that like button. Make sure to subscribe. We love you all. And of course, we will see you tomorrow for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second